Why can't you impeach him?
Yes, advise me.
Okay, that is interesting. Wilson Sossion is former NAT Secretary General as well as nominated Member of Parliament. Mheshimiwa, good to see you once again.
Yeah, good to see you.
You've been so silent.
No, I'm not silent.
Last couple of a week or so, you've not texted me. I've not
because you're also off action.
No. You watch me
when you're off action, I'm off action. But when you're in action, we are in action.
Why the silence?
I don't know.
I know you.
Why did you keep quiet yourself?
I know you. Why the silence?
No, I've not been silent.
Exams in Africa.
I've not been silent. I've been speaking. I've been in the communication space, the media space.
Okay, maybe I'm the one who's not been getting hold of it. It's okay.
Yes.
We'll get to know that, right? All right, so let me get you through the front page of the local dailies. Let me start with the Daily Nation. The fight of his life, that is on the front page of the Daily Nation. The fight of his life. The man and the subject on the front page is Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, DP's options fast dwindling as D-Day looms. And here, he stands trial. A defiant Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua faces an uphill battle for survival in the Senate today, even as a 3-judge bench appointed by the Chief Justice rules on his last-ditch bid to stop senators from proceeding with the impeachment case against him. Will his efforts bear fruit, or will he be too little too late for the DP? That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Justice Chacha Mwita made a ruling yesterday, and he said that even though the court had the jurisdiction to determine the petition, Parliament ought to be allowed to run its course. And I quote, "There should be a delicate balance in respective mandate of different arms of government. Courts should strive to achieve the balance and respect what Parliament constitutionally required to discharge." Wally Morero, this particular ruling by the judge, perhaps the key word is to strike a balance.
I think, Chacha, the pronouncement that he has made, striking a balance is, I think, respecting different arms of government. Presumably, knowing that the legislature, the arm of the government that deals with the making of the laws and the bills in this country, is National Assembly. And then we have the executive and the judiciary. So he's trying to pronounce himself. He's also trying to make it straight to the Kenyans and all of us that the 3 arms of government must respect each other, and they must operate within their jurisdiction. And again, the judiciary must not interfere with the proceedings of the National Assembly. They will only come in when they feel that certain procedures were not followed and are at variance with the constitutional framework of this country. So I think what is trying to preempt, Chacha is trying to say that they must allow the due process of the law to take place, in that they must allow the parliamentary, the National Assembly proceedings, and now it is in the Senate. The National Assembly did their part, and now it rests with the Senate. So I think it is foolhardy to go to the judiciary to try and terminate a proceeding which has not even occurred. I think Chacha is trying to say that we must allow proceedings to occur within these 3 arms of the government, and each arm must be allowed to operate as independent as possible. And that is what he's trying to mean by striking a balance, to allow all the arms of the government to have their distinctive roles, because they are defined within the Constitution. So I believe that that pronouncement is allowing the Senate to go on with the proceedings today to its logical conclusion.
Thereafter, the courts can now take it over.
Yes, thereafter now, the courts can now come in if there is flow within the procedures, or that the procedures were not properly followed. So I think that is what he's trying to say.
Absolutely. All right. And Lucy, what do you make of this headline? The fight of his life. This must be, it's self-explanatory, so to speak.
Fight of his life.
Yes.
Actually, it is fight for his life because his goose is like hooked. So he doesn't know.
That is more of conclusive.
He doesn't
your part.
know. Even saying fight for his life is conclusive. So I can also talk conclusively. So the fact that what happened at the assembly, and we saw it, it was like huge. It couldn't be at a point of panic. So that one, he feels like he's already done. And he doesn't know what to expect tomorrow. And that's why you see him going up to block, of which I don't think it's right. He shouldn't give all the processes their time to make their own decisions. I'm wondering if everything is okay. He thinks he thinks the parliament didn't do the right thing. Why is he so much worried about blocking the Senate? He should let the Senate do its work because they do different, their decisions are different, and the Senate is mandated differently. It's a court. So I wonder why he wants it blocked. So why do you block a system not to work? It's something also we should be questioning. So yeah, he thinks like he's already done. And this is like it is do or die. So he will do anything. Including blocking Senate, including going to every court, to see if he can survive. He's already in his mind, the way I can read it as a psychologist, he could be thinking he's already done. And if you are not thinking already done, you wouldn't be so much worried about what the Senate will say. Just wait.
Okay. It's quite interesting because we are living in a time when the three arms of government are now working independently. This is where the independence of all the three arms of government now operate independently. When you look at the executive, Parliament is also doing its work independently. The judiciary also said, this is how it's supposed to be. Perhaps, Mwalimu Sosion, I mean, if all these three arms of government worked independently, Justice Chacha Mwita saying, there's a very delicate balance. Parliament must continue its work. And if it happens to proceed to the judiciary, then they'll also do their role as per the Constitution. What do you make of this as you combine the two?
That is what the Constitution 2010 envisaged. That is the spirit and the letter of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And 14 years down the line, some people, particularly those who believe in impunity, do not understand that these arms of government are independent of each other and therefore cannot interfere with the operations of each other's work. I agree. Once Parliament institutes a process, judiciary cannot interfere. It will have to wait until it dispenses of that matter. If it is legislation, it will have to wait until that piece of legislation is assented to by the president. Then anybody can take it before the judiciary. That is when the judiciary can entertain such an application, and it will examine. And we have seen in this country, many laws have been declared unconstitutional. A number of acts have been declared unconstitutional. And once the judiciary declare those laws unconstitutional, the executive and parliament, as always, complied. Matters to do with impeachment. 14 years down the line, we are seeing certain aspects of the Constitution maturing. And I would say chicks have come home to roost with respect to impeachment. That then Kenyans are appreciating that it's a constitutional instrument that is used against state officers who have violated the constitution of the laws, engaged in crimes, and engaged in gross violation. And Kenyans are utilizing it. And we have seen very effective impeachment attempts, some others successful. And still, after Parliament successfully concluding an impeachment process, then parties are still at liberty to move the courts. to seek justice and redress.
Yeah.
And this is how our governance structure is designed, so that if you feel your rights have not been granted, then you're still free to move the judiciary, but move at the right time. So those who have been impeached, and anybody being impeached in future, I think lessons have been learned from these regarding Gachagua impeachment and the others. The courts cannot interfere whatsoever. Wait for Parliament to conclude whatever decision, whichever way, then it will be legitimate to entertain.
But somebody would argue that it's a survival tactic. Perhaps, Lucy, as a psychologist, because it's human's nature to fight for survival. Even if you're left all alone in the desert and you're faced with wild animals, your human instinct to survive will automatically kick in. So in this case, we would say that Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's survival instinct kicked in, and he had to run to the courts because who wants to lose his job? I mean, whether you're right or wrong. Yeah,
he has created a defense mechanism, and I'm quite sure that he knows maybe things will not go right. Because even your instinct tells you when things are not right. When you have not been doing the right things, why jump? This is a system. This is Parliament. This is Senate. Even Kawera Mwangasa went through Assembly. She was impeached by Assembly. It was taken to Senate. Now she's in court.
Yes.
Why can't you wait? The instinct, it tells you that is not right. His goods are cooked. Yes.
What if the instinct tells him that he's right? And that's why he's fighting to survive.
You know, no one likes dying. Even when you know you're going to die, you still think
even Jesus did want to die.
No one wants to die. Even when you know you're dying, you're still hanging on. Yeah. So I think that is what it is, and maybe maybe his advisors, his lawyers, and lawyers, of course, they will never. I'm sure none of the lawyers is here. Lawyers will never tell you that you're going to die. It is over. Even when they know it is, they will tell you, no, it will work. Okay. It's fine. It's gonna be okay.
On the front page of the Standard, I'll come back to that. Those were opening statements. Standard has it different. 47, 59, 59. That is the hours remaining. 47, 59, 59. So probably in the next 48 hours. That's what's the interpretation of what's on the front page of the Standard. 48 hours basically is 47, 59, 59 to go. And the man or the subject of the front page is Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. It says that in the next 48 hours, the Deputy President will engage in a fight for his political life. That he rose from a one-term member of Parliament to the second highest seat in the land is no mean feat. However, he faces a permanent ban from public service should he face senators and fail to convince them to drop his impeachment. Already, new evidence indicates that the National Assembly will go for his jugular, with the friends turning 4 hours after the courts okayed the process. So I'll take you through the process that we expect today and tomorrow, and of course, the next 6 days if it happens that he's impeached. So here we are on the front page of the Star newspaper. It's quite different. How Gachagua bought Brothers Lavish Hotel. That is on the front page of the Star. All right. How Gachagua bought Brothers Lavish Hotel. That must be an expose here by the Star newspaper. The witness, Njombo Mushira, confesses that Rigathi used him to acquire Olive Gardens Hotel. And now the DP has, however, told the Senate he does not own the property. So who is speaking the truth? Mheshimiwa Warero, it seems that there's a lot of affidavits now being tabled before the House. It's not yet over.
I'm not a lawyer per se, but I think at the National Assembly, some of these questions arose about the Olive Garden.
Yes.
And I think one of the members brought the same case in the National Assembly. But you know, as we were not going to prosecute, I think that is left for the Senate.
Yeah.
But the matters of Olive Garden, the matters of the hotels of the brother came up very, very vigorously. But now it is time to adduce evidence at the Senate level. They must lay the evidence, and most importantly, they may even call witnesses in person to come and state under the oath and confirm whether those allegations are true, because at the moment they are still allegations until they are proved that these are the right thing. But I believe for that and that high office, for such allegations to be made, it will be very careless if that person has no evidence. I think they could be having evidence, and I know they are expected to put them on the table as the Senate takes the case today and maybe tomorrow conclusively. I think we are in a very interesting scenario now. And when we look at our constitution, the 2010 constitution is almost like a Bible. I am told that I'm also a believer in Bible. I'm told that there is nothing which is not written in the Bible. Even the way you are sitting, you'd find that it's written in a Bible. So our constitutions also has tried to cover almost all aspects of life. In fact, before this impeachment, most Kenyans did not even envisage that a deputy president could be impeached. But when you look at those articles, they are completely covered for 445. The process of impeachment of the deputy president and even the president are almost the same. So I think the due process should be allowed to proceed, and I believe they are going to prosecute this case without biasness, as we did at the National Assembly. We know we gave the deputy president 2 hours to address us in a calm and conducive environment without interference. So I think as the Senate also carries their jurisdiction, we hope that he is going to be given time to defend himself, and if he is guilty, then he's going to be impeached.
I want us to take a break, but I want to ask you this question, William Sosion and Wally Morera. How does it feel that exams are almost around the corner as teachers? How does it feel?
Well, it's the greatest moment of anxiety for any teacher presenting students for examination. In fact, the pressure is not even very much on students. It is on the teacher. The deep concern on the success of the students and how they'll perform.
The progress of the school, etc., etc.
Yes, then the head teacher, the anxiety of how the school will generally
now that Morero was a head teacher,
and then,
allow me to ask him this question. How was it when you were told that exams are starting in the next 10 hours?
Not even 10 hours. You might not have a sleep for a whole week before the exams. In fact, teachers shape the lives of the students. 90% is the work done by the teachers.
Very good.
And the anxiety which is there, I can tell you the teachers are very, very anxious. They disperse knowledge, skill, attitude. So it is now that they must confirm, really, whether they have been imparting the right knowledge.
That knowledge.
And of course, they need very good Christmas gift.
Right, Wakili.
Ambaye ataongeza katika jambo letu hili, yani Uislamu, kisichokuwa ndani ya Uislamu, basi atakuwa ni mwenye kurejeshewa.
Tuangalieni mambo ambayo kwamba yatasaidia katika umma, si kutenganisha umma, bali umma tuulete sehemu moja. Siku sawa amini kukangara
Ni kweli mmemchagua Mbura awe kiongozi wetu?
Mwanamke sio mtu wa kuamini. Anaweza kukua wakati wowote akitaka.
Sio kwa mke wangu.
Kwa nini wanaume waone thamani ya mwanamke katika jamii? Ni kwa sababu ya mila na tamaduni zetu ama ni ubinafsi tu wanaume wako nao?
Mimi ndimi kiongozi wa wafanyakazi wote pale kwenye serikali ya Mbura.
Huo uhuni wako hautoshi hata ukucha wa kidole cha mguu wangu.
Tubaki hapa peke yangu, twende sote.
I never heard a music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth reggae vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
Napenda life, napenda dema na jidai, ateme vibe.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Goldat,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunongwa. Hatija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversation.
It's art, it's culture,
movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
All right, welcome back. So, before we took a break, I asked a question to Honorable Sosion and Honorable Borrero. Because exams are starting, and not when I don't have the dates exactly, but it should be around the corner. And I know the anxiety with the parents now. And as former active teachers, they have confirmed that the anxiety is always so hard on the teachers. With the Mheshimiwa Borrero being a former head teacher, the pressure is always on you as head of schools. You either want to retain the name of the school, or you want to perform, you want to take several students to the university. There is competition for your neighboring schools. The reason why I ask this question is right now is akin to what's happening to the Deputy President. And you have confirmed that it's more on the side of the teachers than on the side of the students. Would you still confirm the same?
Very well. I think that is the truth. Having been a teacher for a long time,
yes,
and when you are the head of the school, it brings about the holistic management issue. the performance of the school in terms of academic achievements will reflect hugely on the management of the institution. And the way we are socialized as Kenyans, we always believe that the success of any individual will depend on the performance of that individual in school. And this is a perspective that we must really change. We must change it because the CBC has different pathways that do not necessarily mean that you must have academic performance. But because of the white-collar job that our colonialists put into our minds that for you to be successful, you must always go through a system that gives you good grades. So the principals of schools and the head teachers, both secondary and primary, are quite anxious because the society would want to see how the results of those schools will be after the final exam. And this is to the society a reflection of the principal's performance, which is not necessarily true. So this brings a lot of anxiety to the teachers and the principals. Even as they teach, you'll find that most teachers, unlike students, some teachers are more anxious than the students. And with the experience that I have, the performance of students almost largely depend on the way they are handled by their teachers. To me, I believe teachers define 90% of the performance of the students within a school setup. They are very good teachers that we know that they will always, their students will always do well, irrespective of the kind of the students that they have. So that performance normally is really for the teachers. They know how to shape the minds of the students. So as we approach the exams now, both the teachers and the students are anxious, and it will be in maybe a week's time or so. And we believe that last 2 weeks, the secondary head teachers have been saying that some disbursements, especially for tuition practicals, had not been done. But I hope now they will be able to bring that in school so that the exams are done in a conducive environment, a proper environment with facilities. And our students, we want to wish them well at this time, both primary and secondary. And we also want to ask our teachers just to stay calm and not to be too anxious for this performance.
Let me bring in Peter Wasaga. Wasaga is advocate of the High Court. And Peter, good to see you once again.
Thank you so much.
I want to use the example and analogy that Mheshimiwa Orero has given. There's a student, there's examination, there's anxiety, and the performance of the school. In relation to what is happening in the country right now, and I wanted to give that clear example of what is happening to an examination. And that is why I started this with him, so that he can give us a background. Who is feeling more heat right now as we enter into the last stretch of this impeachment process? The impeachment process, I started by asking who feels the heat. The student feels the heat, the students feels the pressure, the teachers, the school, and everybody else. Using that example of a school and an examination just about, the deputy president is facing the Pontius Pilate, let me use that word, today, an examination. He must be under pressure. Copy-paste that example and give us a scenario of what's happening in the country right now.
Thank you so much. It's good I was a student some few years ago.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure that I have very eminent teachers who have, for a very long time, fought for the rights of teachers and also have led various schools to greater heights and great performance. So I'm very excited to use that analogy. Assuming Kenya is a school, and assuming there is a test, and there is now the syllabus.
Yes.
And our syllabus is the Constitution, the grand norm. When you look at section Article 2 of the Constitution, it says that no one is above the Constitution. It binds all state organs, and any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution should be declared null and void. So that is the syllabus that we have to go through in examining the deputy president. Number 2, we also have the Article 10 of the Constitution, still in the same book, yes, which provides for the principles, the national values and principles of governance, which again echoes the separation of power, yes, echoes the rule of law, democracy, public participation, inclusivity, among so many other values and principles. Then we also go now to Article 150, still on the same book, which now gives the grounds upon which a deputy president can be impeached. And the same grounds are those that are given under Article 145 on what amounts, what constitutes to gross violation of the Constitution, committing a crime under the national and international laws, or even gross misconduct. So this is these are thresholds that must be met. So then now there is the examiners. Yes. And the invigilators. And who are the examiners in this case? The examiners in this case are the Senate. The Senate. They are those that set the exams. I believe that no. If I say the examiner is the Senate, I will be wrong, because it goes beyond the moderators. They are the examiners, and they are now the moderators, which is the court. There is now the prosecutor. In this case, the prosecutor is the National Assembly, and then there is the examiner, that is the Senate, and then there is now the moderator, that is the judiciary, that ensures that the processes are followed. They look at the marking scheme vis-a-vis what was done, and they come up with a decision that this examination was marked very well, and regarding Gachagua deserves to go home or he deserves to remain. Two things, Olo. The impeachment process is both political and a legal process. It is a political process because it is carried out by politicians. Right. And there is a threshold that has to be met. And this threshold, sometimes and many of the times, it must be approved by the parties. That's why there are whips. So ODM is whipped, Kenya Kwanza is whipped, depending on whichever position you take, and the Wiper is whipped. You've seen that. And then there is now the aspect now looking at the grounds vis-a-vis the law. And we have seen the 11 grounds, and we've seen the law, which have been very clear. Now, the examiner cannot come and tell us that, you know, I am not going to sit this exam because my fellow also did the same syllabus and was not tested on this same paper. So because it is within the discretion of the examiner to test any student depending on whatever they've taught. So if Mr. Orero here, MP Kibra, has not forwarded any motion to impeach the president, you cannot insinuate that Kufa Dereva, Kufa Makanga. You are only crucified based on the allegations that have been brought forth. You cannot be tried on rumors. You are tried on grounds and allegations. So there could be a reasoning that Kufa, the driver, should also die, the Makanga should also die, and I've seen there is another third party who has been brought, the mechanic, should also die. But there are no allegations against the driver. There are no allegations against the mechanic. Whatever is here is simply the Makanga, in quotes, the Makanga, and the Makanga has to face the law. Has to face the law in what way? He has to defend himself. And how do you defend yourself? You defend yourself by adducing evidence. And the Evidence Act is very clear that he who wants a court to believe anything has to prove. And it is not on the volumes. It is not on the very big cartons. It is on the substance of the. It is on the substance of those evidence. Last, which I also want to close on this, it's a very simple analogy. That as a political process, you both have political advisors and then you have legal advisors. The political advisors, I presuppose, have advised regarding Gachagua that, you see, when you go through the entire process, you are able to come out as a lion. Of course, he's already a lion, at the back in Mount Kenya, because you see in politics, every publicity, Mr. Sosion here will tell you, and Mheshimiwa Orero, that every publicity in politics or any process in politics makes you famous, and it brings publicity to you, and it can build you, whether it's negative or whether it's positive.
Yeah.
So regarding Gachagua, this whole impeachment process has made him popular with the Mount Kenya because he speaks their voice. The Mount Kenya speaks for it's one people, 1 shilling and 1 vote. They have also, there are so many pronunciations that Gachagua has made which resonates with them. So when they tell him to hold on, and the political advisors tell him to hold on, he has achieved on that political capital. Okay. But now my question is, you can achieve on the political capital and become even the kingpin, but what would that kingpin help you with if you are taken through the entire impeachment process and then you cannot hold any other office? It means that it is all vanity.
Is that a question for me to answer, or who should answer that question?
Perhaps
it is a statement. It's kind of a statement, not really, because what
we are still back in the school setup. Remember,
is trying to allude to the fact that when you go through the whole process of impeachment, now the integrity of that person is completely eroded, and maybe might not be able, going by the former impeachments that occurred.
Yes.
We had some governors who were impeached in the previous regime, and they were not allowed to contest. I remember one of them even wanted to contest in Coast, and even in Nairobi, and he was not allowed to contest.
Because you have to come with the certificate of good conduct.
Yes, yes. So it is the erosion of integrity of a person at this level, despite the political limelight that he has acquired. So he must also look at the legal aspect of it. So I really want to concur with my colleague here. He has really put it well, that the advisory team, I think some people must have advised him either to step down, to resign, so that he saves the face, the integrity part of it. So you can achieve so much in the political arena, because as we say that both negative and positive publicity gives you publicity. But it will take him time to clean his image if he goes, in case he's impeached. I don't want to preempt what the Senate is going to do, because it's a legal process. But just in case, but we can never know what is going to happen. But if in case he's impeached, his political ambition will be really curtailed. I don't think he's going to achieve what he expects to achieve in the future.
All right.
I think that is what he's trying to infer.
Okay.
Yes, Lucy.
First, I will start by correcting our learned friend here.
Go ahead.
That it's not all Mount Kenya people that resonate with the Gachagua, whatever he is doing.
But you are from Moyale. You are not about Kenya. Are you speaking on behalf of
Mount Kenya, yes.
Oh, okay.
She's a Kenyan.
I'm a Kenyan. So it's not all of them, and it's very clear. You don't have to even to have come from Mount Kenya, of which I am. The fact that you saw Mount Kenya getting divided, you have Kindiki's group, you have Jorin Cheke, you have all these groups, it shows that there is no resonating 100% with him. So there's nothing like that. Let me also use the analogy, but now socially.
Go ahead.
On the social aspect, when you're using that analogy of the teacher and students and the exams, I am putting it now from the family point of view. The most affected, or the most people with a lot of nervousness here, you can put yourself in the shoes of Dorcas, Gachagua, and the children, those people who are very close to him, and definitely the Mount Kenya itself. Whoever believes in whatever he is preaching, the division or being just a Murima. So the Murima, so a lot of people will be affected. And
I like the way you say the Murima.
Because I'm Murima. so the Murima, that is the Gachagua way of saying it.
By the way, before you continue, it was Justice Chacha Mwita who also, Anthony Mrima, will also be in that empaneled
Murima also will be in the panel of
the three judges.
of judging the Murima issue.
Murima is a name of a person.
Murima is the name of a person. Murima is a proper noun. So
Justice Eric Ogola, Justice Freda Mugambi, and Anthony.
And Murima.
So
it's a proper
name.
Yes.
And socially, it's like Mwalimu was saying, any publicity is publicity, negativity or positivity. So they will be affected both equally, positively and negatively. There are those who are very excited about it. The fact that they are divided, I'm talking about the Murima. There are those people who are very disappointed and feels that they were betrayed. Yesterday we saw some MPs from Meru saying what they were told for them to start supporting Kindiki. They were told that he's going to be the deputy, and that's why they divided the East and the West Mount Kenya. So our learned friend, we already have East and West, and you don't have to come from there. You are a Kenyan, you have been following. So all those particular people are affected. And then on the accusation, which came one of 11 in Parliament, I don't know if it is true or not, about the hotel, the Olive Hotel, that belonged to his brother.
Garden.
Honestly, it hurt a lot of people. Me, even as a woman, because I don't know where I belong. If my husband passes on, what happens? And especially when that kind of treatment came from, I mean, someone who is purported to be son of Mau Mau, who is supposed to know how you should treat your family, even try to sell. And all along, when he was talking about these properties at the Parliament, when he was defending himself, there's nowhere he mentioned his brother's wives or the children. And this is someone who has children, and who is African, pray on Mount Kenya, African Mount Murima man, that is an handoff. So from that already he made a lot of enemies from that. If you don't know what kind of example is he showing even to the other Murima people. I being a Murima product, I'm not safe as a woman because anything can happen. If they're looking at...
You're safe. You're safe.
Yeah.
I wish you came from our village. When your brother dies, you easily inherit.
So imagine now.
You inherit the Murima, everything else.
Now you can imagine this woman, unfortunately. I understand that. And so, and you're seeing a lot of Murima women, actually, they are moving to those sites where women are taking, not grabbing what has been left.
You're making Peter Wasaga to be happy.
Because it is true. That is a fact. It's an emotional connection thing. So that one really hurt a lot of women, especially. And you could see even the reaction of women parliamentarians, although they were being told they are not on issue. It is also an issue. That means a lot to women. You can imagine now your husband is gone. No one is talking about you and your children. And someone is busy selling your property, and all he's saying is, my son is able. Even youth. If it is true, the youth of this country was so much hurt. You can imagine your son, who is less than 30 years old, can go to a bank and acquire a loan of 600 million. How many other youths can get that? So the reaction socially of many Kenyans is there, positively and negatively. A lot of them with hatred and wishing he could go like yesterday because he's not a good example, purporting he's a son of Mau Mau.
Very good. So, Mwalimu Sosina, I want to take a break, but perhaps in under 2 minutes if you can, because we are seeing the situation unfolding and it's been so seamless. When Parliament took that position, the way Parliament conducted itself, people thought that it was going to be chaotic, Mheshimiwa Orero. A majority of Kenyans thought it was going to be chaotic, but it was the opposite. The House was full to the capacity, and the Deputy President, together with his legal team, everybody was heard in silence. Again, Lucy, you'll have to answer this one now. When it comes to emotions, how emotions take place in this kind of scenario. But then, Mwalimu Sosion, when you look at how Parliament and Senate is handling this thing, the communication between the Senate and the National Assembly, the seamless kind of flow of information and messaging. You've been in that house, again with Mheshimiwa Orero here. What do you really think is happening behind the scenes? I don't want to ask Mheshimiwa Orero because probably he might give me more info that I don't need.
Before I talk about that, allow me to make a comment.
Yes.
About the item that has just been on discussion. The feelings of others, the effect, what people are
You're giving analogy of the school?
What people are feeling at Murima and the rest.
Okay.
Socially now.
Now, you see, when you are convicted as a criminal and you are sentenced to jail, those around you will definitely feel bad. But you see, the law takes precedence. You must go to jail. And as an individual, you are not going with your family members. You are not serving the jail sentence with your clan or with your community. So this should be seriously separated. It should not be impeachment should not be politicized or weaponized to emotionalize a tribe or a community. I saw the NCIC saying, oh, it is going to create ethnic tension. Far from it. The thing is, the impeachment is on counts of crimes, violation of the Constitution, engaging and gross misconduct while in office by an individual, not by a family.
But there is a ripple effect.
Not by the clan.
You give an example
not
of
by
somebody
the
being
mountain.
convicted and sent to jail, Mheshimiwa Sosion, and there is always a ripple effect.
So
in
essentially,
the family.
what I'm saying fundamentally and philosophically, this should not be ethnicized. Carry your own cross as an individual, face the charges, answer to the charges. If you are able to acquit yourself of the charges leveled against you, anybody being impeached, so be it. So I think it is the right thing to do. What is operating here, it is the force and the power of the Constitution. The simplest way of movement of things is how the Constitution is structured. It is the structure of the Constitution.
Very good.
Very few people do not understand the power of this Constitution. Just like people do not understand the power of the people as envisaged in Article 1 to be exercised directly or through the elected representatives. When Kenyans stood up in the public participation to critique the finance bill in 2023 and 2024, it was the highest level of active participation. That Kenyans can question how taxes are collected. And they could also question how their money is spent. Look at other jurisdictions outside Kenya.
Could you please just take us on a break?
Budgets are never questioned. And so what is happening seamlessly is the structure of the Constitution and the order of the assemblies. And therefore, Kenyans should now appreciate
I've called you for
the powers of county assemblies and the national assemblies.
I've
Thank you.
called you for the 5th time. Let's take a break. All right, welcome back. So now, I want to give Mheshimiwa Sosion another 1 minute to finish his statement.
So
go ahead.
The way Parliament is structured, it has got legal instruments and legal human resource experts. And it even has research department, it has personnel. And if you looked at how the public participation was conducted, it was done by staff of the National Assembly in a very efficient manner with the very effective tools that could collect both qualitative and quantitative data from the public in all 47 counties. And when an order came on a Friday for extension to the constituencies, they were still able to do it at the constituency level the next day. That tells you about the versatility and ability of the National Assembly. It is an independent arm of government. Being an arm of government, it is well-resourced both in financially and in terms of human resource and traditions and way of doing things. So when you see movement of issues seamlessly. When a vote was taken by the National Assembly at, say, 8:40 p.m., for example, I can't recall the exact time.
It was 8:17 p.m.
It was possible at exactly 8:30 to have all the documents transmitted to the Senate the same moment. And the Senate, the Speaker of the Senate could gazette by 9 p.m. It is possible. Parliament has ability of executing matters on real time. With precision, with no mistakes. Look at the judgments and the rulings that the Speaker reads. They are well reasoned out, they are done in real time, they are accurate, convincing. You can feel the aura and the mood of fairness, and you can derive a lot of facts and even satisfaction from how that is done. So the way our people don't understand our parliament, people think it is just a market, but it is one of the most orderly and most effective institutions, and that is why it's able to conduct business with a lot of precision. So I would tell Kenyans that now the chicks have come home to roost. The power of the county assemblies as well, because the county assemblies have matured as well over time. They are able to move very successful impeachments, but we have seen some assemblies, they don't want to comply, they think it is political. Now, when it comes to executing matters like impeachment and bills, it is not political. It is about doing things within the corridor of the Constitution and the law. So really, our county assemblies, I think they've come of age. The National Assembly is powerful enough, but the Parliament, that is, National Assembly and the Senate, they are efficient enough. So I expect we are almost 1 hour to commencement, or or 50 minutes to commencement of the process of impeachment at the Senate. And I'm sure the Senate will do it systematically, seamlessly, and it is open to the public.
Okay. Again,
you can follow. And I can tell you, within no time, once they take the vote tomorrow, other processes can still follow seamlessly. So, and that is how to govern.
But in this case, the Senate is going
this arm of government is setting the best example of how to govern. Then let me come to members of Parliament.
Would you just hold on? Just kindly, just hold on to that. But Wakili, in this case, the Senate is going to go through the charges one by one.
Yes.
11 of them to interrogate. So what happens if, what will happen in this case? 11 of them, will it be a case of if one count is found guilty, or all of them? Or what's the threshold?
Thank you so much. Like I mentioned before, right now the Parliament is the prosecutor, that is the National Assembly. It will prosecute its motion against Gachagua before the Senate. The Senate will have to examine each ground.
One by one?
One by one.
Okay.
Looking at the ground, the law, and the facts. Just like a court process, actually it's a quasi-judicial process. Because witnesses will be called. The witness in chief, the other witnesses to support. I saw the National Assembly already, they have the Honorable Mutuse, Honorable Chende Amolo, Peter Kaluma, and the rest who will be there to prosecute that motion. Then they will be cross-examined by the Deputy President's team. And there will be also time for re-examination. After the examination, just to the National Assembly legal team are given time again to clarify on some of the issues that were brought up during the hearing. Thereafter, we will go through the next process. Now the defense hearing. The defense hearing regarding Gachagua, together with, if he has any other witness, they'll be brought before the Senate, and the process, they will be examined in chief, the cross-examination and the re-examination. Then each party will close their case. Then on each of the grounds, the Senate will look at its merits. Of course, you remember this stems from the Constitution, Article 50, that gives you a fair hearing, and also Article 47 on fair administrative action. So after all this is done, assuming Gachagua, deputy president, succeeds or is able to disprove 10 grounds and only one ground succeeds or sails through, still Gachagua will be going home. If Gachagua is able to disapprove 8 and the rest sail through, still Gachagua will be going home. But if the Senate will be able to overturn everything, I mean to find him innocent of all the allegations.
All the 11 of them.
All the 11 of the allegations.
Even if one.
Exactly.
One, yes.
Yes. So the 11 grounds are very independent and they have to be prosecuted differently. You've seen what happened in the Kawira Mwangaza impeachment and also the previous impeachments of Governor Sonko and also Governor Waititu. But now, one interesting thing that we must know, and that this is for the first time, we are testing the Constitution. Article 150.
Clearly so, clearly so.
I believe even the framers of the Constitution did not contemplate this. We heavily borrow from South Africa and United States Constitution.
Right.
So the aspect of public participation, I know that is something that has been scrutinized. But I would ask myself, at what stage, because you see, you look at the National Assembly, they are more of they have more of prosecutorial powers. Then after they get that prosecutorial powers, they now take it to the Senate. Actually, the motion in Parliament is to give ahead the motion to proceed to the Senate. So when you look at most of the legal things that may come out is the aspect of the public participation. There have been so many court pronunciation on the same. And that is what actually has necessitated the 29 petitions that were filed in court. And I agree with the judge, Justice Muita, and the previous judgments on the matter. You cannot inject Parliament on a mandate that they are given in the Constitution. The courts can only come to review if the process was duly followed, if the substance has been proved. Other than that, they cannot come and interfere, because you see, Parliament has been given the oversight role, and the only way they can exercise that oversight role is by using their teeth to bite, and the teeth to bite here is the impeachment, the censure motions, and even suspension from office. That is what they can do. So after going through the whole process, that is when now judicial review application can be brought against the entire process, whether the public participation was conducted well, whether there was a pronunciation, because I also heard there's an allegation that the Speaker of the National Assembly, who needs to be a judge, already made himself, made a declaration or took a stand on the impeachment process on a public function. Is it a public or a private function? The other allegation was also on the Deputy Speaker. But then you also have to examine it vis-a-vis the law. Did she say that in her capacity as the Deputy Speaker or in her capacity as the women rep of Uasin Gishu County? Because all these things are you look at it, they are not interrelated.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, because I really wanted that clarity, that clarification, because even Lucy asked herself, one count disapproved and it's gone home.
I just want to add something.
Go ahead.
My colleague here, we call them our learned friend. I said we are really borrowed from South Africa and United States, but I also want to add that the procedures of our house, we have also borrowed from the House of Commons, the UK. I've been in House of Commons, I think 3 times. To see the procedures of how they conduct their business is almost basically the same with our procedures in our parliament here. And during public participation, I was really taken aback. You know, we allowed everybody to express his opinion. And one of the guys really abused us. And he said, "You MPs, you are very stupid." We have never seen stupid people like the MPs. So I did not know the threshold of our stupidity in that. While I can attest to this, some of the members of the National Assembly contributed heavily in the drafting and in the making of this constitution.
Right.
We are very, very brilliant lawyers in that National Assembly. When you see somebody like Dr. Otiende Amolo, he is one of the brilliant lawyers that we have in the National Assembly. And here he will prosecute this. And he was among those lawyers who contributed in the making of the 2010 Constitution. So I believe that the Constitution is going to be followed within the framework, that is the legal framework that is required. And I think that the Kenyans are going to be treated. This is the time that we'll know what our Constitution requires and how it is interpreted. We want the Kenyans to know the level at which our Constitution can be used. Because when it is drafted and written, many people do not know the effect of the Constitution and the power of the Constitution.
Until it's put into action.
Until it is put into action.
But let me ask you again, Mheshimiwa. Under the new Constitution, did you, at any given point, sitting in that National Assembly after election 2022, foresee such a scenario as members sitting? Because you'd had bills, you'd have bills in the Senate, in the National Assembly, debate on different motions, but this one was a new one. How was Parliament prepared to tackle this kind of an impeachment of this magnitude? I'm talking about the National Assembly in general, from the Speaker and the entire staff and everybody else. This must be a test for the House. Just for example, the way you gave an example of the students preparing for an examination. I mean,
Well, until you are a member of the Assembly, you cannot understand the diversity of the minds of the people in that National Assembly.
House, right.
We have very diverse minds. And our mindset are normally determined by the people you represent, because you are a representative of your own people. Whatever you're going to prosecute must also resonate with the demands and the interests of where you come from. And we cannot be whipped to think in one direction. We are not a unidirectional thinkers. We are diversified. And even to the speakers of the National Assembly, there is no way you are going to prepare members to think in one direction, because all of those members have their not just political interests, but they also uphold very, very highly those they represent in the National Assembly. I would weigh in on the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. I think both of them are lawyers, and one of them has been a lecturer in the law school in Nairobi University, I think the Deputy Speaker. And Wetangula has been there almost in the Parliament more than any other person. I will not advocate for them, but it is upon the Senate and upon the judiciary to see whether their pronouncements that they made, just as my colleague has said, really, did they make them in Parliament? What is the effect of their statement?
Yes.
Had the proceedings started? Did they influence the outcome of the proceedings? Were they made within the presence of Parliament? So sometimes you can make political pronouncements in your constituency, and by that time, maybe like the Deputy Speaker is a women rep. So she took her time to go to the village where she represents her people. So what I do not know, that does this constitute a constitutional illegality, or does it really, can it be a substance, can it be an evidence to negate the process that had occurred, a seamless process that had occurred within the National Assembly? So I think
there's a difference between when she says it's out there and when she does it in the National Assembly.
The National Assembly, because there it goes into Hansard.
Exactly.
And it becomes an evidential background that can be adduced within the court system. So I think these are some of the legal issues that will be determined maybe if they have to go to the court.
Let me get from Lucy, then I come back to Sosyon. Yes.
Actually, the Deputy Speaker, very clearly, before she continued doing anything in Parliament, she excused herself and she said she's now not speaking as the Deputy Speaker. She's talking as the women rep of West Shingishu, and she was representing the people of Western Region. So she made that one very clear
okay,
on TV.
I'm told
so
you.
So the other thing...
Lucy,
yeah.
Your mic has a problem. I'll come back to you shortly. Just excuse me for that. Sosion, you wanted to say something?
Yes. I think with the judgments, there are 11 charges that of course the Senate will prosecute and hear. But I think what the National Assembly did was to simply prepare and vote globally. The real trial is at the Senate, and where that is where whoever is being impeached will have the burden of proof to acquit himself, and the Senate will acquit you if you prove that you cannot be impeached. But then, as the senior counsel has said, even only one being impeached in one of the items, then you are construed to have been completely impeached. Now, one thing we should appreciate is that this judicial decision, I call it is a judicial decision, was placed in the National Assembly, or Parliament rather, so that then rogue state officers can be dealt with expeditiously and speedily to promote governance. At the end of the day, what we want is a governance system that is working. The president the other day, and he diagnosed as the president of the country that the problem of Kenya is incompetent leadership and conflict of interest. Incompetent leadership and conflict of interest in institutions is a rampant thing, and the only way you need to deal with it is to use the tool of impeachment as a beginning point to get people out of office. If you get to other jurisdictions, like when you talk about what happens in Singapore, we saw the first prime minister who said systems work, and he said, keep the system clean. So we must keep our governance structure in this country clean so that we can deliver to the citizens, can bring corruption down to zero. It is not a question of managing, but we can bring it down to zero completely. And we can run an economy that is promising, and we can have a governance system that the people are feeling the value for their taxes in terms of services, particularly education and health, and therefore having individuals in government positions who are engaging in impunity by violating the Constitution and engaging in crimes and of course gross misconduct is a wrong thing. I think this is a very good beginning step, and I expect more impeachments. If we have issues like you're saying, the Speaker of the Senate has ordered the arrest of governor of Isiolo. The powers to do it, the shortest, is that the Assembly should have impeached that governor like yesterday. Okay. So that then is dealt with at the Senate. It is now time that without extending any sympathy or any exception to any public officer or state officer, impeachment can be used as a tool so that it interacts together with other avenues of dealing with corruption, like EACC and crimes in court, so that then when they interact together, we improve governance and we can protect the economy of this country, which has been very resilient from cartels and patrons of corruption.
Give it to Lucy. Remember, you took her time.
Smoke them out of government.
She donated her time to you. Lucy, over to you.
Thank you, Olo.
Thank you,
and you asked Mheshimiwa Mwalimu,
yes,
if the Parliament was ready to handle such a case. I would say it is very fortunate that Gachagua assisted them very much. Gachagua literally impeached himself, because a lot of things the Parliament members were talking about, it is the things that he told them on the previous day. Whoever advised Gachagua on that, he concentrated more on political and emotional aspects. He wanted to catch people's feelings, he wanted to help with people's emotions, but in the process, he gave a lot of information which was maybe necessary And maybe not necessarily, he was not even aware, but because from the argument of the parliamentarians on that day, all the references were like you told us last night. It took a whole 1 to 2 hours addressing Kenyans on things that they did not know, even public we didn't know. So I would say actually he assisted the parliament, it made it very easy for them. It also made it very easy for us, the public. We understood many things that instead of him wiping emotions of most Kenyans, actually most Kenyans now went against because of his explanations.
Okay.
So Gachagua maybe needed the impeachment because he literally impeached
I believe all of us are,
yes,
are familiar with this statement. Wakili,
yes,
you have a right to remain silent. And anything you'll say will be used against you in the court of law. You either stand to represent yourself or you get attorney to represent you, etc., etc. So silence is powerful, right?
That's
I want to ask you a question to all of you. How important is this process for Kenya, where we are today? In the new constitution, we've never experienced it, but how important is this process for Kenya in general, the entire leadership structure and to Wanjiku? How important is this? Wakili.
I think one, like you've mentioned, we have made strides as a country. Unlike in the old constitution where the president will just wake up one day and fire a deputy or a vice president, right now it must be substantive and procedural. There is a form of security of tenure that the deputy president has been given.
Yes.
So one importance of this is the acknowledgement that our constitution is advanced, and looking also at Article 47 of the Constitution and Article 50 on fair hearing, it also brings about the issue of rules of natural justice, which now applies to everyone, irrespective of your status in the society. The other thing that we are going to reap from the entire process is that we are going to see jurisprudence develop. We are going to see precedents being created, which can then enhance our legal engagements and dispensation in the coming days. A good example is that now we have the need, we now see the need to legislate on a Public Participation Act, which has been a very big thorn in the entire process.
Yes.
And that is what has led to the many petitions that have been filed in court. Of course, there have been so many court pronunciations, starting from the Wambora case, where they said that where the court held that public must be given adequate notice on matters to be discussed, and they must be given time to respond. Number two, the public in the public participation, it must not just be for formality, but whatever is discussed must be documented, and the reviews and views of the public must be taken into account.
Yes.
Now we are caught up in a very elaborate pronunciation by the courts, and now looking at it within now the confines and the timelines of the impeachment of the president, which also the constitution has stipulated. It is not objective, it is subjective. It keeps shifting. For example, the public participation that is engaged in the legislative process cannot be the same that is used in impeaching the president.
I want to fill your cups. And the only way I can do that is to take a break.
Okay.
The only way I can do that.
Maybe I can pick it up from that.
I'll pick it up from there. But I still, the remaining three are, how important is it? Even you, Mheshimiwa, sitting in that house, how important is this process? Is there something that we are learning as a nation? Lucy, is there something that we are learning? Either way, he's impeached or not, but what are we able to pick from this moving forward? All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. I don't know how true that is. Zachary Maina says the case is predetermined. All right. Gachagua is there to stay. That is from Kagamba John, journalist. Kwani, don't you know the meaning of don't touch the mountain? quote-unquote Mrima.
Siguse Mrima.
Geoffrey Oncheku is saying that only if Ruto's huge... Okay, let me skip that. Cheriot Takitech TM is saying that Gachagua to stay, hii serikali ni ya nani? All right, that's a good question. Alphonse Oxygen, Gachagua anafaa tu aende. Okay, those are your comments and messages. Evo Van Stein saying that Mheshimiwa Orero 2027 mkuwe ready. Mtasimama hata kwa barabara. That is some of the comments coming from our social media. But let me come back. How important is this, Lucy? We are here at this particular point. We are learning something in the process as a nation. How important is this process of impeachment?
I would say it is like a turning point for our country. It's not just a question of impeachment. It's a trial and challenge to our three arms of government. A lot of people are learning now and want to see how they do things.
Yeah.
Some sectors on the parliament, we are now, they are saying, Orero, be ready to stand on the road as we come sweeping you that when that time comes. Let's see now. It's not me saying. It's not me saying. We are saying.
We are from Kibra. I only respond to Kibra people.
Evo Van Stein, where are you from? There's a question for you.
Yeah. So generally, this time, even if it's not from where, they are just talking generally about the parliament after that, the decisions or how they worked. So let the Senate know also Kenyans are watching them. Kenyans want to see if they are implementing what is exactly on our constitution, our most, novel book in this country. And also, the next challenge is our judiciary. How are they really going to handle it? Will they be having more questions after that? Will it we will be contented in whatever comes? So it is a trying moment to all those three arms of government, and the Kenyans also have become even more enlightened through this case. They have seen that there's no one who is untouchable. The law works, and if it really works, I will be very happy to see. My anticipation is to see if really the law works in Kenya, if people can misbehave, if we are talking about unity in the country and someone is busy dividing Kenyans in Murima parts and the rest of, we want to see, a lot of us, we are Murima, but we want to see, people who want a united Kenya. We don't care about the Mirimas and the lakes and the valleys and lakes. We want to see a Kenya.
We have valleys here and the lakes.
Yes. So Kenyans right now, they don't care. The things they care about is like, the things we're just talking about, like healthcare. This is what Kenyans want to hear. This is what we want Kenyans, that there's escalating number of people now dying because of the confusion in SHE and the NHIF. This is what we want. We want to be Kenyan, we want to be served. We don't want this blah, 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 what we want. That's what we want. So the three arms of government, they are on trial, and we are watching. We Kenyans are watching. Yeah. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we look at a situation where Constitution is in play, fully active. And Wanjiku has also been given a chance to participate in the process. Whichever way it goes, is there any lesson that we are taking home?
Of course, lots of lessons. And people underrated the Constitution. And some even wanted the Constitution changed to suit certain political whims and interests. But now we are beginning to appreciate that this is a powerful constitution that can protect the country. That is one. Two, that impeachment will always succeed as long as they are premised within the presence of constitution and the law. It's not a political process, yes, in as much as the argument that is a political process, but the judges are coached in a legal and constitutional manner, and you must prove beyond doubt. Three, people are appreciating the value then of National Assembly and county assemblies in promoting good governance. It is now time that we promote good governance, good democratic practices, and a fulfilling economy, and the advancement of any country is founded on a sound, democratic, and good governance. And we cannot have that good governance if we don't remove the bad eggs when it is necessary. We are given this opportunity, and it is the people doing it, because they are doing it through Parliament. It goes through public participation. All matters that needs to be transacted at the National Assembly, whether impeachments, whether legislation, must go through public participation. The biggest lesson we have learned here is that the public really needs to do more. And the public participation must be public participation. And we are realizing one thing. We probably need, my learned friend is here, and I think may agree with me, we may need a Public Participations Act, so that there is a legal framework on how it is conducted and applied, so that there is no doubt. We don't keep litigating in court, and we know how the public participation processes are done to satisfy both quantitative and qualitative participation of the public, rather than sometimes we see advertisements in newspapers and some institutions call it public participation, or meeting in boardrooms and it's called public participation. So we are learning also that a lot needed to have been done with this constitution. We need a Public Participation Act. We also need maybe a Referendum Act, because the referendum is another provision that is in the constitution, so that it guides the people and the public can use those instruments and statutes to fulfill their role in the constitution. Maybe those are the gaps that needs to be done.
You're off mic. Your mic is on this other side.
Yes, but above all, nobody is above the law. And if you are impeached as an individual, don't mobilize your family, don't mobilize your clan, don't mobilize your tribe, don't you mobilize your milimas and valleys and lakes and deserts and all of them. Don't. Carry your own cross and go and face the judges. And if you are found guilty, then so be it. You will be removed from leadership.
There's a question here. I don't know whether it's by design or by coincidence, that the speed at which the impeachment is taking is under Constitution, but the impeachment process of the Deputy President came immediately after the formation of the broad-based government. Is it coincidence or by design?
You know, one thing is that the impeachment, when you read Article 144, 145, which lays ground, and even the timelines for the impeachment, you realize that the National Assembly, like when we started, I think we just had 7 days to carry out all the processes of this impeachment, including public participation. We have timelines to carry out that process.
I'm talking about...
So I'm coming to that.
Yes.
You know, we have no legal framework binding a broad-based government, in quotes, as people are saying, that is a broad-based government. I think you have heard from our leader saying that as ODM or as Azimio, we have not come into a structured way of joining the government. And we have always said that people have been picked from our audience. Until we have that structured engagement, then we cannot actively pronounce that this impeachment has come after we formed a broad-based government. When you look at those allegations...
ODM said that they offered some experts.
Of course, you can see even the cost of electricity has gone down by 8 shillings. Anyway,
is it courtesy of the experts? Or it was.
Were they requested for the experts?
Even, within a very short time, the cost of electricity has gone down. I think Wanda is doing a good job up to now.
I'm not stopping him, but I'm simply reporting. Those are Kenyans who deserve to be appointed. They have been appointed as Kenyans. And it's not the first time Joseph Ngaiseri was appointed to be the Minister of Interior and Coordination of National Government in 2014 by Jubilee administration from the opposition.
Yes.
So appointments to government and to offices does not have to be through political parties.
They need to be qualified.
And no party lines.
Who is qualified?
Who is qualified?
Who can
it doesn't
serve,
matter where you are in the political shade, you'll be appointed. And I think that is the brand of politics of tolerance which the president is practicing. And I think give it to the president.
Why wasn't Peter picked?
Give it to the president.
Okay, so let me complete because that is a political question. Those charges that have been given against the deputy president, there is none related to broad-based government.
Right.
When you look at them, whether sins of omission or commission, they have been piling from the time the deputy president was named. And this brings us to thoughts that we should never have marriages of convenience. When you want to have a marriage, let us look for people that are compatible. The compatibility aspect is the most significant aspect. My colleague here will tell you that if you want to marry from a Murima, get one who is compatible.
Yes.
And she looks compatible. So
and I offer myself to be the best. And then you will be the witness.
I will be the witness.
You will
I will be the witness.
And you see, she has not instantly raised objection. Anyway, that is for one.
I'm objecting now.
You know, in Parliament, that should have been a point of order, that I'm out of order.
You're out of order.
I apologize. I profusely apologize.
Can you apologize?
But you're not withdrawing.
I have withdrawn and profusely
Can you apologize?
Yes,
why are you withdrawing?
And I ask you to accept my apology.
And we have already taken instructions.
So we are saying that these are misplaced and misconceptions that people attribute to a broad-based government. No. And I think when Gachagua appears in the Senate, let his legal team try to unlock the legal aspects, try to concentrate to vindicate him from these allegations. Let us not bring extraneous issues that really do not serve political attention. These are extraneous issues about broad-based. The problem of the deputy president has no relation completely with what people in could say broad-based government. It is their own making. This is a Kenya Kwanza intra-party politics. It is an individual's mistakes, and we cannot attribute it to any form of associations with the ODM or Azimio as a party. So I want to make it categorically clear and very vivid.
No association
that
whatsoever.
There is no association whatsoever.
I have a question.
With that.
Did the impeachment story start at the parliament, or it started with the Gachagua himself telling Kenyans he's going to be impeached? We never heard it from parliament, as maybe others did, but I never. It all started with him. He started being sectional. He's at some days with the president in meetings, then the following day or in the evening, he has some other meeting somewhere talking about their house, their leadership. Actually, he's the one who started spilling everything and telling us what's going on, and the way he's been removed from the WhatsApp groups. I don't think this started even at the parliament. So I support. It has nothing to do with the broad-based. It started a long time. It has been almost a year for him talking out there and trying to put Mount Murima as we are not part of Kenya.
So this is where we are today.
Like he was the deputy president of Murima. That's how he started behaving.
If you'd allow me to weigh in.
Yes. But again, as you weigh in, so if Gachagua is ousted, that's tomorrow, the case the proceedings starting the next few, then the name of the successor is likely to be tabled on Thursday night. That is tomorrow, right? And then National Assembly will be expected to hold a special sitting on Friday for the consideration of the successor. That if is impeached. That is by tomorrow. So do you have any communication to that effect, Mheshimiwa? Special sitting on Friday?
We can never have before it happens.
Before it happens.
Yeah, but we are almost going for recess.
Rumor has it.
Okay.
So when we
Where
go
there's smoke, there's fire.
we are going to have recess. I hope it is not my last statement.
I'll come back for a minute each.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
Peter.
I think one lesson that we learn from the entire impeachment process is that now if I want to politically comment,
yes,
and it's good that I have the politicians here, that in Kenya, politics is not about ideologies. Politics in Kenya is about conveniences, and they are ethnic based. And that is one reality that is coming out very clearly. Rigathi Gachagua and the President, William Ruto, were not joined based on any ideology. They were joined on convenience, in that Rigathi Gachagua had the mantra, had the zeal, and had the power to fight the former president and be able to deliver the vote. But then assumption, that's an assumption.
The president fought for his own votes. He went door to door asking for votes in Mount Kenya, with or without Gachagua, Ruto, and the votes from Mount Kenya.
So coming to where we are, and in politics, they are not permanent.
Sorry, would it have mattered if somebody else was a running mate of Ruto from
Mount Kenya? I don't think so. Ruto had done a lot of work individually, personally. Yes, he just did. I think even it was like, it was a favor to Gachagua anyway. Very few, no one even knew Gachagua.
Let me just finish.
Already we are out.
Just in 1 minute. So what happens is that right now, after that, the same people who fought Gachagua, I'm driving a point home.
Go ahead.
The same person who fought Gachagua previously is now Gachagua's ardent supporter. That is Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka. And those who were for Gachagua, like Kimani Ichung'wah, are the same people who are now crucifying Rigathi Gachagua. What does that tell you? That power and political dalliance is transient. So do not make laws today thinking that you are punishing the opposition or you are punishing an individual. It will be very unfortunate if that very law would be applied against you.
Okay.
Malala, for example, promised the opposition that during the protest, before the Gen Z protest, the Azimio protest, he told them that what government was planning with the demonstration, only God knew. Today, Cleophas Malala is with the deputy president, who is being roasted and is out of grace with power. So whenever we look at these impeachable offenses, let us, that is just also to the National Assembly and even the Senate, let us create a precedent so that even if Orero, Mheshimiwa Orero will be the deputy president and Sosion will be the president and he will be Mr. Sosion, Mheshimiwa Sosion, would not want to have Mr. Orero then, Mheshimiwa Orero, then the same laws can conveniently and in a very good way apply, not being retrogressive and not being punitive.
I think what we need, although he's our legal, a learned friend, what we want, I think he should just say that we should operate within the Constitution. Because as what we are talking about are contained in the Constitution. So we must strive that our Constitution can last 100 years. It contains all these aspects that we are talking about. So it's not about what we want, like giving example of Malala's case. We must operate within the Constitution. That is, I think, the point.
Gentlemen, ladies, we are already out of time. I'm told that we are going to Senate. Sosion, you have, I'll give you 30 seconds if you can.
And give it all to President Kibaki, because he said Vision 2030 and also gave us a constitution. And in Vision 2030, our politics is supposed to be issue-based. And so even impeachment should be issue-based. We are dealing with issues. And I think it is time we should begin completely retiring from our minds issues to do with ethnicity and politics of common interest, and we look at the wider interest of the nation. So I want to believe that once this impeachment is concluded, either way, then it will form the basis of elevating our politics to issues, so that we forget about Murimas, the valleys, the rivers, the lakes, and the rest. And we look at Kenya and the good of all people of Kenya, as was envisioned in Vision 2030 and in our constitution. And we agree there is a lot still to be fulfilled in our constitution. And it's incumbent upon all of us Kenyans to make sure that our constitution works without necessarily clamoring, so that we amend it to suit our selfish political interests. We must make our politics selfless rather than selfish and pro-people.
Thank you so much.
Final word, 1 minute.
Yes, because you're the lady.
I'm a politician, I must say hi to Kibra people. It's okay.
Go ahead, Lucy.
Hello, Kibra. On behalf.
Because you are the new lady, first lady.
The compatibility. Go ahead, Lucy.
I'll take Lucy after this.
Okay. Who knows?
Yes.
Let the impeachment be issue-based.
Okay.
Let our constitution be respected. Let the people of Kenya see the 3 arms of government working as expected. And we continue saying constitution first, emotional and political waping of emotions must stop, and let our judgment or the judgment not be aligned to anything else besides the constitution and the legal facts.
All right. Mheshimiwa, ODM is making some changes in their housekeeping. A lot of changes happened in Mombasa over the weekend. You must be preparing yourself adequately. What's happening?
And you know, we have had some of our members who are
preparing for a proper agreement of broad-based in 2027. Proper agreement. Now we shall sign in 2027. We shall not pick individuals.
Not really.
We shall sign.
Mheshimiwa Sossion can now come back because
no. We'll be, you know, the current government is purely ODM because all of us came from ODM.
Allah.
So we are bringing back our former house and
a word of confirmation. You see, is there space for him?
No. There's space for them. There's space for them because they are coming.
I am not allowed to speak on behalf of the ODM.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much, and lady. Peter Rero, representing the great people of Kibra, thank you so much for coming on the show. Peter Wasaga, an advocate of the High Court, asante sana for your valid contribution. The only lady, the maid, Lucy Moria, people of Isiolo, tuko naye hapo Nairobi. She's doing a great job, right? Asante sana. And Mwalimu Sossion. Okay. That's where we take it a wrap. Asante sana for joining us. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we are going straight to the Senate on that impeachment proceeding, starting right now until late in the evening. Again, tomorrow we'll pick up here tomorrow and then see what will happen. If the deputy president is impeached, then by weekend we'll have a new name floated to be the next deputy president, and thereafter 60 days will be taken care of as per the constitution for the National Assembly and the Senate to take it up there. Right now, we are heading to the Senate. My name is Victor. Have a good morning.